The council chamber was the largest room had ever seen. It stretched so high that she could not see the ceiling. The walls were made of crystal that caught light from many different suns. Hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that went up and up like a mountain made of seats. Some of them glowed like fire. Some of them looked like rocks with eyes. Some of them floated in the air like clouds. Had never felt so small in her entire life. She stood alone on a round platform in the center of it all. Her boots made no sound on the strange metal floor. Her uniform was clean and pressed, but she felt like a child wearing her parents' clothes. The translator device in her ear buzzed softly, turning alien sounds into words she could understand. A being made of pure light floated above her. It had no face, no body, just shapes that moved and changed like a living puzzle. This was the High Arbiter, the leader of the Galactic Council. When it spoke, the sound came from everywhere at once. "You are the creature from the unknown system. Your star is called Sol. Is this correct?" Lifted her chin. Her heart was beating fast, but she did not let her voice shake. "I am captain of the ship Eternal Dawn. I am not a creature. I am a representative of my people." Whispers moved through the chamber like wind through tall grass. The alien beings looked at each other. Their translators struggled to understand the tone in her voice. She had spoken politely, but there was something hard underneath her words, something that refused to bend. The High Arbiter's light flickered. "We have searched our records. Your species does not exist in any database. Your planet has no file. Your technology has no match. You came from empty space." "We came from Earth," said. The word meant nothing to them. The translators turned it into a sound, but a sound without meaning is just noise. The alien beings waited for more. "What is Earth?" asked one of the delegates. He was tall and covered in green scales like a snake. His voice was cold and curious at the same time. Looked at him. Then she looked at all of them. Hundreds of eyes, sensors, and light points stared back at her. They were waiting for an answer. They thought it would be simple. They thought she would describe a planet the way someone describes a rock. But Earth was not just a rock. Far above, in a glass room overlooking the chamber, a man named watched everything. He was husband. They had been married for 12 years, through good times and terrible times, through peace and through danger. He knew her better than anyone in the universe. He saw her shoulders relax. He saw her take a slow breath, and he knew that something important was about to happen. Back on the platform, began to speak. "Before I tell you about Earth, I need to tell you about the journey that brought me here." The High Arbiter's light pulsed with impatience. "We did not ask about your journey." "No," agreed. "But you will not understand Earth unless you understand why we left it." She began to walk slowly across the platform. Her footsteps echoed in the silence. 3 years ago, our ship left Earth. We did not know where we were going. We did not know what we would find. We only knew that we needed to go." She stopped and looked up at the crystal walls. "Humans have always been this way. We look at the horizon and we want to see what is on the other side. We look at the ocean and we want to know what is beneath the waves. We look at the stars and we refuse to believe they are too far to reach." A being made of crystal raised a thin arm. Its voice sounded like glass breaking softly. "Many species look at stars. This is not special." Nodded. "You are right. Many species look at stars. But how many species keep looking after the universe tells them to stop?" The crystal being did not answer. Continued. "Our ship almost died 17 times on this journey. 17 times we faced total destruction. Our engines failed. Our food ran out. We were attacked by things we did not understand. We got sick with diseases that had no cure." She held up her hand and counted on her fingers. "Each time we should have died. Each time we survived. Not because we were lucky. Not because we were strong. We survived because we refused to accept that dying was the only option." The snake-like delegate leaned forward in his seat. You speak of survival as if it is rare. Every species survives. This is the basic law of nature. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew something that others did not. Survival is not rare, she agreed, but hope is. She turned in a slow circle, looking at all the beings around her. On our ship there is a wall. On this wall we have painted pictures of Earth, mountains, oceans, cities, forests. Every person on my crew has added something to this wall. When things got hard, when death was close, we would go to that wall. We would touch the paintings, and we would remember why we were fighting. Her voice grew softer. We were not fighting to survive. We were fighting to go home. The chamber was completely silent. Even the beings who did not breathe seemed to be holding their breath. The High Arbiter spoke again. You still have not explained what Earth is. Looked at the being of light. Her eyes were calm and steady. I am getting there, she said. But some things cannot be explained quickly. Some things need time to understand. If you want to know what Earth is, you must first understand what Earth made us. She planted her feet firmly on the platform. So let me tell you about my people. Let me tell you about humans. The chamber waited and began to tell them the truth about the small blue planet that had created a species stubborn enough to cross the stars. Stood in the center of the council chamber and felt the weight of 1,000 alien eyes upon her. The silence was thick like fog. Every being in the room waited to hear what she would say next. She took a breath and began. Earth is the third planet from our sun. It is not big. It is not rich in rare metals. By your standards, it is nothing special. She paused and let her words settle. But Earth is also a world that tries to kill everything that lives on it. A murmur passed through the chamber. The High Arbiter's light flickered with something that might have been surprise. Explain, the Arbiter commanded. Nodded. On Earth the ground shakes. Without warning, the land cracks open and swallows cities whole. We call these earthquakes. They happen hundreds of times every year. Sometimes they kill thousands of people in a single night. She began to walk again, her voice steady and calm. The sky also attacks us. Storms form over our oceans and grow into monsters made of wind and rain. They spin across the land and destroy everything in their path. We call them hurricanes, typhoons, cyclones. They are so powerful that we can see them from space. The crystal delegate raised an arm. Why do you not leave these dangerous areas? Smiled sadly. Because we are stubborn. Because those dangerous areas are also beautiful. Because our ancestors lived there and their ancestors before them. We do not run from our home. We rebuild it. She continued her slow walk around the platform. There is more. Our planet has mountains that spit fire. We call them volcanoes. The fire inside Earth sometimes explodes upward and buries entire cities under hot rock and ash. One volcano destroyed a city called Pompeii 2,000 years ago. The people there had only minutes to run. Most of them did not make it. The snake-like delegate shifted in his seat. His scales made a soft scraping sound. Your planet sounds hostile to life. How did your species survive long enough to develop intelligence? Stopped walking. She turned to face him directly. That is the question, is it not? How did we survive? She held up one finger. We adapted. When the cold came, we learned to make fire. When the animals were faster than us, we learned to make weapons. When the diseases killed us, we learned to make medicine. Every time Earth tried to destroy us, we found a way to live. She held up another finger. We also worked together. Humans are not the strongest animals on Earth. We are not the fastest. We cannot fly. We cannot breathe underwater, but we can talk to each other. We can share ideas. We can build things that no single person could build alone. Her voice grew stronger. When a flood destroyed one village, the village next to it would send help. When a fire burned the crops, strangers would share their food. We learned that survival was not just about being strong, it was about being together. A being that looked like a cloud of purple gas spoke up. Its voice was like a whisper from far away. You speak of cooperation, but your species also has a history of violence. We have seen your broadcasts, your wars, your weapons. Lowered her head. For a moment she looked very tired. Yes, she admitted. We have hurt each other. We have killed each other in numbers that I am ashamed to say. We have built weapons powerful enough to destroy our entire planet many times over. She raised her head again. Her eyes were wet, but her voice did not shake. But that is also part of what makes us human. We are not perfect. We make terrible mistakes. We hurt the people we love. We destroy the things we need. She spread her hands. And then we feel sorry. We try to fix what we broke. We promise to do better. Sometimes we fail again. Sometimes we succeed, but we never stop trying. The chamber was very quiet. Continued. On Earth we have a saying. It goes like this: fall down 7 times, stand up 8. This is what it means to be human. We do not stay down. We do not give up, even when everything tells us that we should. The High Arbiter's light pulsed slowly. You describe a species that is constantly at war with its own planet and with itself. This does not sound like wisdom. This sounds like madness. Laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and tired and honest. Maybe it is madness, but it is our madness, and it brought us here to this chamber, standing before beings who have lived among the stars for millions of years. She looked around at all the alien faces. Your species grew on peaceful worlds. Your planets gave you everything you needed. You had time to develop slowly, carefully, safely. Her voice dropped to something almost gentle. We did not have that. Earth pushed us. Earth tested us. Earth broke us again and again and again. She straightened her spine. And we are still here, not because Earth was kind to us, but because we refused to let it beat us. The snake-like delegate leaned back in his seat. For the first time, there was something like respect in his cold eyes. You are saying that your hardship made you strong, he said slowly. Shook her head. No, I am saying that our hardship made us stubborn. Strength can be broken, stubbornness cannot. You can kill a stubborn person, but you cannot make them quit. She touched her chest, right over her heart. Every human carries Earth inside them. The fire, the storms, the shaking ground. We are made of disaster and survival. We are made of breaking and healing. She looked up at the High Arbiter. That is what Earth is, a world that forged us in pain and taught us to smile anyway. The chamber was silent. Something had changed in the air. The alien beings were looking at her differently now, not like a specimen, not like a curiosity. Like something they had underestimated. Up in the observation gallery, gripped the metal railing with both hands. Around him stood the rest of the crew, 46 humans in worn uniforms, watching their captain speak to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The ship's doctor stood beside him. Her hands were still from the surgery she had performed last month. She had saved 3 lives with those hands. She never complained about the pain. Minyu, the pilot, leaned against the wall with his arms crossed. His eyes never left. He had flown impossible courses to get them here. He had bent the rules of physics with nothing but skill and stubbornness. The engineer was crying quietly. He was not ashamed of his tears. On the eternal dawn, tears were not weakness. They were proof that you still cared. Below them kept speaking. You have asked me about Earth, she said. And I have told you about the dangers, the storms, the fire, the shaking ground, but that is only half the truth. She smiled, and this time the smile was warm. Earth is also beautiful beyond words. The alien beings leaned forward. Even the High Arbiter's light seemed to glow brighter. On Earth, there are forests so green that they hurt your eyes, trees so tall that you cannot see the top, rivers that flow like silver ribbons through valleys painted with flowers. Her voice grew soft, like she was sharing a secret. There are mountains covered in white snow that sparkle in the sunlight. There are deserts that stretch forever under skis so big you feel like you are falling into them. There are oceans that change color with the sun, from blue to gold to pink to purple. She closed her eyes for a moment, remembering. When I was a child, I lived near the Eastern Sea. Every evening, I would sit on a hill with my grandmother and watch the sun go down. She would tell me old stories about heroes and monsters and love that lasted forever. She opened her eyes. Those stories shaped me. They taught me that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. They taught me that courage is not the absence of fear. It is being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. The purple gas being spoke again. You speak of stories as though they have power. Stories are just words. They change nothing. Shook her head. You are wrong. Stories change everything. She began to walk again, her footsteps marking time like a heartbeat. Humans live on stories. We carry them inside us like fire. When we are afraid, we remember the stories of brave people who faced their fears. When we are sad, we remember the stories of people who found hope in darkness. When we are alone, we remember that we are part of a story that started long before us and will continue long after we are gone. She stopped and faced the council. Do you want to know how we reached the stars? It was not technology, it was not science, it was stories. The High Arbiter pulsed with confusion. Explain this logic. Raised her hand and pointed at the crystal ceiling, at the stars beyond. Thousands of years ago, humans looked at those lights in the sky and made up stories about them. We named them. We imagined gods and heroes living among them. We dreamed of visiting them. Her voice grew stronger. Those dreams became goals. Those goals became plans. Those plans became ships, and those ships carried us here. She lowered her hand. In the time between my grandmother's birth and mine, humans went from riding horses to walking on the moon. 66 years. That is nothing. That is the blink of an eye. But we did it because we believed we could. Because our stories told us that impossible things were possible if we wanted them badly enough. The snake-like delegate spoke up. We have watched your species. You seem obsessed with speed. You rush through everything. You do not take time to think carefully. Nodded, you are right. We are impatient. We want everything now. We cannot wait. She tilted her head. But think about this. Your species has had space travel for how long? Millions of years. And in that time, how far have you spread? How much have you discovered? The delegate was silent. Continued. Humans have had space travel for less than 300 years, and we have already reached the edge of your known space. We have already found you. We have already surprised you. She spread her arms wide. Imagine what we will do in 1,000 years. In 10,000, in 1,000,000, we are just getting started. We are Bobbies taking our first steps, and we are already walking into rooms that took your ancestors ages to find. The chamber rumbled, not from any machine or earthquake, from the beings themselves, shifting and murmuring as her words sank in. Up in the gallery felt tears on his face. He was not alone. The entire crew was crying and smiling at the same time, was not just speaking for herself. She was speaking for all of them, for everyone who had ever looked at the stars and refused to believe they were out of reach. Down on the platform, lowered her arms. You wanted to know what Earth is. Earth is the world that taught us to dream bigger than ourselves. Earth is the world that showed us that limits are just problems waiting to be solved. She looked at the High Arbiter directly. Earth gave us pain and we turned it into strength. Earth gave us fear and we turned it into courage. Earth gave us death and we turned it into a reason to live as hard as we could. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper, but it carried to every corner of the chamber. That is what humans are. We are the children of a world that never gave us anything easy, and we loved it anyway. We loved it so much that we crossed the universe just to find a way back home. The snake-like delegate rose from his seat. His green scales caught the light from 17 suns and sparkled like jewels. When he spoke, his voice was cold but careful. "You speak beautifully, human. Your words are like poetry, but poetry does not win wars. Poetry does not build empires. Poetry does not protect your people from those who would take what you have." He moved down the aisle toward the platform, his long body sliding smoothly over the steps. "Look around you. In this chamber sit species that have conquered galaxies, species that have destroyed entire worlds, species that have existed for longer than your sun has burned." He stopped at the edge of the platform and looked down at. "You have one ship, 47 crew members, no allies, no weapons worth mentioning, no fleet waiting to rescue you if things go wrong." His eyes narrowed. "What makes you think you deserve a place among us? What makes you think we will not simply take your ship, study your bodies, and forget that your species ever existed?" The chamber was silent. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Up in the gallery, Minyu moved toward the door. His hand went to the weapon hidden under his jacket, grabbed his arm and shook his head. They had to trust. They had no other choice. Down on the platform, looked at the snake-like delegate. She did not step back. She did not show fear. "You are right," she said calmly. "We have one ship, we have no fleet, we have no powerful weapons." She took a step closer to him. "But let me tell you about the people on that ship." The delegate's eyes flickered with something that might have been surprise. He had expected fear. He had expected begging. He had not expected this. Began to speak. "Our engineer is named. 3 months ago, our main reactor failed. Without power, we had 8 hours before the cold of space killed us all. Worked for 72 hours without sleep. His hands were burned down to the bone from touching hot metal. He refused medicine because it would make him sleepy. He fixed the reactor with tools held in fingers that had no skin left." She paused to let the words sink in. When it was over, he apologized. Not for screaming in pain, not for crying. He apologized because he thought he had been too slow. The delegate was silent. Continued. "Our doctor is named. 6 months ago, we stopped at a space station that was dying from a disease. Your own record said this disease had no cure. Every species that caught it died within days." She shook her head slowly. "Did not accept this. She locked herself in our medical bay with samples of the disease. For 40 hours she worked without rest. She tested hundreds of combinations. She failed again and again. And then she succeeded." Her voice grew harder. "She created a cure for a disease that your million-year-old civilization called impossible. She did it with equipment that was held together with tape and hope. She saved 400 lives that day." The chamber murmured. The snake-like delegate's scales rippled with something that looked like uncertainty. Kept going. "Our pilot is named Minyu. 1 year ago, we were caught in the gravity of a dying star. The pull was so strong that our engines could not escape. Every calculation said we were dead. There was no way out." She smiled. "Minyu found a way out. He flew a course so precise, so perfect, that he used the gravity itself to throw us free. Your navigators later looked at what he did. They said it was impossible. They said no one could fly that accurately. They said the mathematics did not work." She shrugged. "But we are still alive, so I guess the mathematics were wrong." The delegate took a step back, just one small step, but saw it. Everyone saw it. "You asked what makes us think we deserve a place here," said. "I will tell you." She spread her hands. "We deserve a place here because we earned it. Not with weapons, not with threats, not with power. We earned it by refusing to die." Her voice rose, filling the chamber. "Every human on my ship has a story like the ones I just told you. Every human has faced death and found a way to survive. Not because we are special. Not because we are chosen, but because giving up is not something we know how to do." She pointed at the delegate. You can take our ship, you can study our bodies, you can try to forget that we existed, but I promise you this." Her eyes burned with quiet fire. "More humans will come, and more after them, and more after that, because we know you are out here now. We know the stars are not empty, and nothing in the universe will stop us from reaching every single one of them." She lowered her hand. "You can be our friends when that happens, or you can be a story we tell our children about the species that tried to stop us and failed." The snake-like delegate stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he lowered his head. It was not much, just a small movement, but it was respect. "You are brave," he said quietly, "perhaps too brave for your own good." Smiled, "We get that a lot." She turned away from him and faced the High Arbiter. "I have told you about Earth. I have told you about my people. I have answered your questions, but there is one more thing I need to say." The chamber waited. "You asked what Earth is. I have given you facts and stories and examples, but I have not given you the true answer." She took a deep breath. "Let me give it to you now." The chamber had become very still. Every being, from the glowing light creatures to the massive stone giants, was focused on the small human woman standing alone on the platform. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. Closed her eyes. For a moment she was not in an alien council chamber millions of light years from everything she knew. She was somewhere else, somewhere warm, somewhere safe. She was standing in her grandmother's kitchen, watching the old woman make soup. The smell of garlic and green onions filled the air. Through the window, she could see the mountains in the distance, their peaks white with snow. She was sitting on a hillside with on the night he asked her to marry him. The stars were bright above them and the grass was soft beneath them. He was nervous. His hands were shaking. She said yes before he finished the question. She was holding her mother's hand in the hospital room, feeling the grip grow weaker with each breath. The machines beeped softly. The curtains moved in a breeze from somewhere. Her mother smiled and whispered that she was proud. Then she was gone. She was standing on the deck of the Eternal Dawn on the day they launched, watching Earth grow smaller and smaller until it was just a blue dot among millions of stars. The crew was cheering. Someone was playing music, but was crying because she knew she might never see that blue dot again. She opened her eyes. "You want to know what Earth is," she said. Her voice was different now, softer, deeper. It came from somewhere inside her that she rarely showed to anyone. "Earth is not just a planet. It is not just a place. It is not just rock and water and air." She touched her chest. "Earth is here, inside me, inside every human who has ever lived." She looked at the alien beings around her. "Earth is the smell of rain on dry ground in summer. It is the sound of wind moving through trees. It is the feeling of cold ocean water on your feet when you run along the beach." Her voice grew stronger. "Earth is the taste of food cooked by someone who loves you. It is the sound of your name spoken by a person who matters. It is the feeling of arms around you when you are scared and alone." Tears formed in her eyes, but she did not wipe them away. "Earth is the graves of everyone we have ever loved. It is the first steps of every child ever born. It is every kiss, every promise, every goodbye." She raised her voice. "Earth is the place that taught us what love means, what family means, what home means." The chamber began to vibrate, not from machines, not from any physical force. The vibration came from the beings themselves, responding to something in her words that their translators could not fully capture but their souls understood. "You have asked me to explain Earth with facts and science and logic, but Earth cannot be explained that way. Earth is not a fact. Earth is a feeling." She spread her arms wide. "It is the feeling you get when you have been gone for a long time and you finally return. It is the feeling of belonging, of knowing that there is one place in all the universe where you are wanted, where you matter, where you are loved." The High Arbiter's light was pulsing rapidly. "This is unexpected. You describe your planet as though it is alive, as though it is a parent or a lover." Nodded, "Yes, that is exactly what I am saying." She lowered her arms. "Every human carries Earth inside them. We carry the dirt under our fingernails from playing as children. We carry the sunlight in our skin from summers spent outside. We carry the songs our parents sang to us. We carry the stories our teachers told us. We carry the love of everyone who helped make us who we are." Her voice broke slightly. "We are far from Earth right now, so far that I cannot even point in the right direction, but I can still feel it. I can still feel the pull of it in my heart. It calls to me every night when I close my eyes. It whispers to me in my dreams." She looked directly at the High Arbiter. "You asked what Earth is." The entire chamber leaned forward, smiled through her tears. "Earth is home." The word struck like lightning. The crystal walls rang with it. The light beings flickered and flashed. The stone giants shifted. The snake-like delegate lowered his head fully, bowing to the truth in her words. Up in the gallery, the crew of the Eternal Dawn stood frozen. Tears streamed down their faces. They were thinking of their own homes, their own families, their own reasons for crossing the stars. Was thinking of his mother, who had worked 3 jobs to send him to school. Was thinking of her brother, who had died of the same disease she now knew how to cure. Minyu was thinking of the girl he had left behind, who had promised to wait for him no matter how long it took. Was thinking of the first time he saw her smile, of the way she laughed, of the way she held him when he was afraid. She was his Earth, his home, his everything. Down on the platform, stood straight and tall. The tears were still on her face, but she was not ashamed. "I have told you what Earth is," she said. "Now I need to tell you what we want." The High Arbiter's light steadied. "Speak." "We want to go home. We want to see our families again. We want to watch sunsets and feel rain and smell flowers." She paused. "But we also want more than that. We want to bring what we have learned back to our people. We want to show them that they are not alone in the universe. We want to build bridges between our world and yours. We want peace. We want friendship. We want a future where human children can grow up knowing that the stars are not enemies but neighbors." She looked around the chamber one last time. "That is what Earth taught us to want. Not conquest, not power, not control, just connection, just understanding, just love." The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then the High Arbiter spoke. "Your request is heard, Captain of Earth. The Council will deliberate, but I believe I can speak for many when I say this." The light being pulsed warmly. "You have shown us something we have not seen in a very long time. You have shown us what it means to have a home worth crossing the universe for." Bowed her head. "Thank you." She turned and began to walk off the platform. The crew in the gallery was already moving toward the exit to meet her, was first in line. Behind her, visible through the crystal walls, 1,000,000,000 stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere among them, impossibly far away, a small blue planet spun quietly around a yellow sun. "Waiting. Calling. Home."